I'm sure you want to be understood in some way or another, whether it be in a point you're trying to make or explaining why you are the way you are. For some, where words fail, art succeeds. An artist can convey a plethora of sentiments through their work, but they can never be certain that those who view their pieces will search for the messages and themes that lay under the surface. Instead, the surface may be all that is seen, a pretty picture that's easy on the eyes. Although an artist may be glad that people find the work appealing, for them it wouldn't compare to finding someone that was able to dive into the metaphorical layers of the piece and understand what's yearning to be unearthed. Let's take a look at this piece of artwork. Don't let your eyes scan and move on, really immerse yourself into this world the artist created. Pause the video if you wish, take your time. Now that you've formed your first impressions, I'll give you the title of this piece, Miraculous Savior. Now that we know the title, take another look at the piece and check for any new thoughts that enter your mind. Did knowing the title change anything about how you viewed this picture? Did anything in particular stand out after hearing the title? What if I told you that Miraculous Savior wasn't the actual name of this work? It's actually Falling Youth. The dynamic is ever so subtly changed once more. See how something as simple as changing the title can alter how a piece is interpreted? It doesn't have to stop there. Imagine what your interpretation would be if the picture was in monochrome, or if it was darkened or desaturated. Would your thoughts be altered then? I hope I've shown you just how many ways a single image can be interpreted, and how that interpretation would be different if the artist changed even the smallest of details. This work put in should be appreciated and recognized, especially in pieces where it's clear that the artist is trying to say something. You should try listening the best you can, since I'm sure you'd be appreciative if others did the same for you. So let's try to understand what the artist is saying. Even without knowing the title, it's pretty safe to say that these are 3 Japanese high school students falling to their death from one of their school buildings. What's interesting is how each student is confronting their inevitable demise. I'll refer to them as top guy, middle girl, and bottom guy respectfully. Bottom guy has accepted the harsh reality before him, albeit reluctantly since his eyes are closed and tears are flying up from his brow. Top guy is looking up to where they just fell from, with a horrified expression on his face that's trying to make sense of what just happened. Middle girl is the clear centerpiece of this work. She isn't looking to the future or the past. She's absent-mindedly gazing out into the sky, stuck in limbo while she grips the hands of the other two. Like the one in the bottom, she's also crying as she falls. On a surface level, we may be quick to assume that they all decide to jump off together, but that's not exactly what's happening here. Top guy's the odd man out. Whereas the other 2 students are facing away from the building, he is facing towards the building. Why is this? Middle girl's holding on to his right hand, so he didn't twist in midair. He must have fallen backwards, while the other 2 fell forwards. This means that while they were still grounded, their orientations remained relatively the same. What else can we extrapolate? Well, in addition to the direction he's facing, top guy is also the only one that isn't crying. In fact, upon further inspection, he's actually sweating. The other 2 aren't. I think it's highly likely that his sweating and their crying began while they were all grounded, not while they were falling, since it takes more than just a few seconds for these bodily functions to get started. This all leads up to my ultimate interpretation of this piece. I believe that top guy was confronted by the other 2 on the roof. They first had a verbal argument which led to the 2 crying and following through with a decision to charge at top guy. Whether this was premeditated or not is unknown. Top guy attempted to fight back, but since he was outnumbered, he had to exert himself more, hence the sweat. At the scene of the fall, bottom guy's shoe is tied, yet oddly, it's not fastened to his foot, so we can presume that the reason why it loosened up was due to this earlier scuffle. The last piece of evidence we have in believing a conflict arose stems from these 2 students looking through this window in the classroom. This guy's body is facing forward with chopsticks in hand, yet his head is turned towards the window. It's quite possible that he may have been gazing at the sky aimlessly, but that would mean this girl here just so happens to be doing the same. I find it more likely that they heard the conflict just a couple floors above them and looked out the window to see where the noise was coming from, thereby witnessing this scene. The fight itself favored the 2. Middle girl chained herself together with top guy and bottom guy, letting the latter fall first as to bring everyone down with him. Top guy's fearful expression coupled with his hopeless longing for the ground they just left is heartbreaking. He doesn't want to die, but there's nothing he can do to prevent it. Every work of art has a message to convey, no matter how small. It's up to those that view it to ascribe their own interpretations of what that message may be. It's not clear-cut. It's not meant to be. It lends itself to the viewer. not just to look pretty, but to inspire them to look beneath the surface and truly grasp the idea of artistic conveyance.